Recording in progress.
Well, meeting starts at 6 o'clock.
You want me to start?
I think so. I usually have an agenda, so.
Yeah, I'm Michael Gahn. Okay, I'm Michael Gahn. I'm the attorney that's helping the zoning board of adjustment with the conduct of this particular appeal. What I indicated before the meeting started is that I had spoken with Brenda on Monday to find out whether or not there was going to be a hearing today. My understanding is that the 3 board members here and Brenda met on Sunday at the subject property to see what they could see.
I was not able to make it. Sorry, my car said no way.
So you're going to rely upon what other people may say. Okay. And they looked at things, and based on the Jarvis survey, which was, yes, marked in the field to some degree, is they measured the distance between the boundary line and the structure, the camp, which is built on this parcel, and it met the sideline setback requirements if based on that particular survey. The information that Brenda had, right or wrong, was that there had been an agreement between the surveyors, between Mike Jarvis of Northern Surveying, something like that, land surveyors, and Len Emblo of Button land surveyors, is that the Jarvis survey is accurate. However, for us to understand that there's this agreement is considerably different than being an agreement in fact. So rather than relying upon understanding, we said that we needed to contact the appellants to find out whether that is their understanding. I tried to attempt to contact the Sweeneys on Monday. I was unsuccessful. Brenda then sent me a different telephone number on Tuesday, successfully reaching Mr. McSweeney, and he indicated that he is still waiting for Len Amblo to share with him and his wife whatever information may have been shared between Mike Jarvis and Len Amblo. So that brings us to the hearing. And I did suggest to Mr. McSweeney is that perhaps if Mr. Amblo could not attend the meeting in person, maybe he could share with the McSweeneys or with the zoning board of adjustment what his current position is on the location, proper location of the boundary line. I think that turns it over to Mr. McSweeney.
All right, so I'm first on the list. I actually finally got to talk to the surveyor this morning. Yes.
Yeah. And Mr. Hathaway, you're going to speak? Okay, so all three of you raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth.
Yes. Okay, I finally got to talk to him. I talked to him for about an hour during work today, and we had conversation on what his findings were, and he was trying to get something to put together before I could come to this meeting. I mean, it was like, you know, he didn't have much time to do all this before this date, but he did get something to us anyways, at least something preliminary and some factual things that are notable for the zoning board and for everybody here, basically. So yeah, I was on the phone till 4:30 and rushed to get here. So, I mean, I don't know how you got any other communications that there was any, agreement, because I'm still in conversation with him. He was there last night trying to make heads or tails of still the discrepancies that are up there. Mainly, I think the one I wanted to start with first, I've been there. I was up there on the 16th. I don't get to go up as much as I'd actually would like to.
This year.
The 16th of October. And from where the pin was that Jarvis put in had been moved again. I'm just like, are you kidding me? I took a picture of it if anybody is interested, because on the 16th, I'm going, why did they move it? And they moved it
Without communication.
without anybody knowing about it, as far as I'm concerned. And I thought I'd get a phone call or hear from somebody saying, yeah, we decided to move it back where it belongs, and or where you think it belongs, or anything, but I didn't hear anything. So now that Lenny has been there, he verified that, yep, somebody moved it again. So I didn't know why, and he doesn't know why, but he marked it and he has it in his legal files or his GPS.
And
And that was just yesterday and today that he was there.
right, but where it was moved back to where it initially was in all the years.
Pretty
since
close.
We've owned the land or thereabouts.
Pretty close. So he was up there checking more things out, and not just there. That was just one of the places. I said, I can't believe that this has been done. I don't know why. So I'd have to believe that when you went up there on the Sunday, well, I know it is because it hasn't, he was there yesterday or
All
and
right.
today. So between the 16th that I know it was moved again to when you were there, it had to be in a different location again, not to the survey that was done by Mr. Jarvis, whatever the account is. So that still puzzles me, and I don't understand why. I mean, I have pictures of the before and after if you're interested, but I know you guys have already done your work and stuff, but it's like,
Yes, and thank you.
yes, not something for you to do. Excuse me?
Sorry about that. The pin that you're referring to, just so we know, are you talking about the one that's going up by the road, the one that's going up the hill, or the one that's before that? Do you know which one I'm referring? So if you're going up Belvedere Mountain Road, you have the one pin.
Our pin, the first pin.
There would be our
Okay.
shared pin, more or
Gotcha.
less. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
something
thank you.
did happen with the other side.
Oh, yeah, the other sides, they've been all painted, and the pins are no longer painted with nice bright colors. Somebody's marked all the trees up, and those were the original markers, and now they're all black and brown or whatever colors you want. I don't know why they did that. Sure, I mean, that's that one. Here's the one I showed that the excavator moved.
There's the one of that before. And
These are in the pictures that I did today. Because I got, trying to
we're
sort
rushing.
things out with Lenny towards the end here. I scrambled with some of these pictures.
Sorry
They're all
about that,
here.
but where it was a rush.
Just a minute.
No,
Okay, that's this one. Okay, I'm gonna make sure I get the right ones for you. It's the same one.
so am I to understand we're still waiting on a survey? Because I don't even think I need to look at
Well,
the pictures if we're still
official.
waiting
I
on a
mean,
survey.
because the lot lines keep changing.
Mhm.
I mean, the pins keep changing. I don't know how anybody can make anything accurate. I wish somebody leave them alone. I don't know what's going on. Unfortunately,
Do you understand what I'm asking? Yeah. I was asking, like, if there's still an issue going on with the boundary line dispute, and if we're still waiting for a survey, an official survey, do we just postpone again
Just-
and not even
Limit.
bother looking at the pictures
No.
at this point?
Sure.
Okay,
Would you like now?
you won't be available. Oh, it is on.
I'm sorry. I was
Oh,
just saying
sorry.
that if there's, the evidence is not yet available on request of the.
Okay. Right, and then having to remake another, yeah.
Yeah. Now, does Mr. Amblos say that when he will get done? Done
He
by this
has,
time next month?
he says he's gonna be able to do it. What I've got is some preliminary stuff that says
Okay.
not for recording because he's not finished. He's showing some discrepancies that him and Jarvis could hash some of these things out. Possibly, or even Ron and us could hash these things out. It's just.
There's no communication.
Yeah.
Can we move
never-
to go to executive?
Ready?
You're not acting as
Oh,
capacity.
okay.
With me or with.
Yeah, can we do that, please?
No, we don't need to see that.
Sorry.
This is drink.
We're okay, I'm moving to take a break.
Sorry.
Recording in progress.
So, let me know if I overstep what we discussed in the quasi judicial closed meeting. As I mentioned last month, is that based on the application depicting the boundary line as it was depicted, there's no violation of the setback requirements. What the issue is whether or not the boundary line is correctly depicted. If it turns out that the boundary line is incorrectly depicted, then in that event, it's not an appeal on the permit, it's a violation that they built the structure on, based on land that they don't own. The board did go out on Sunday, as it was mentioned, and from what the board can tell is that the boundary line as depicted is consistent with the application that was filed. So if you had the information this evening, maybe, just maybe, the board would say, okay, we will continue to, we'll consider what you have, because we're open to being persuaded. But based on what the recommendation I made to the board last month is that there's nothing wrong with the application. You're filing an appeal based on the application. The application is the application of the building permit, correct. So it is consistent with the building permit. I will take a small digression. My understanding is that the original building permit had the building configured one way, and it's been turned 45 degrees or 90 degrees, which means it's not consistent with the building permit. Nonetheless, it meets the requirements, and there's nothing in the Bakersfield zoning bylaws which say that your building has to be oriented this way or that way. So even if that were a violation, it's a pretty technical one, and it would be one that's easily cured just by the Hathaways just filing an amended application showing here's what it looks like. Typically, how that would be handled is you file an application for a certificate of compliance. The zoning administrator goes out and looks at it and says, yeah, you comply with the zoning ordinance, but you didn't technically comply with the with what you filed. But it's still not a violation, so you wouldn't be able to go in and say, we're now violating for not building. We would say you need to, perhaps file something just to reflect that it's different today than it was as it was presented originally. What the result would be is that once so your appeal would be dismissed, and I don't know what the Hathaway's appeal is still pending, I guess, and they would like to meet with their attorney to see whether they want to go forward with their own appeal. But once Len Amblo finishes his work, you've got 15 years from the date that the building was constructed to file a complaint saying that the boundary line is not correctly depicted. And so you still have plenty of remedy. The remedy isn't here. The remedy, first thing you would need to do is that this would be my recommendation to you. You'd need to consult with your own attorney if you decide to go anywhere. But if Len were to say he does not agree, there'd be two surveyors, both coming in saying different things, presumably. And this board is really not set up for determining boundary line disputes. So chances are you would go to the civil division, get a decision there, and then once you got the decision from the civil division, then you would file a complaint with the zoning administrator at that time, and the zoning administrator would investigate, would look at the decision that was issued by the civil division, and would be able to say, yes, there's a violation, or no, there's not a violation. And if you didn't like the decision, then you can come to the Zoning Board of Adjustment taking an appeal from the zoning administrator's decision, whatever that may be. That doesn't really resolve Mr. Hathaway's problems, because he's got, if he's trying to sell the property, he needs to resolve the underlying issue of where the boundary line is. But it's not something that the zoning board, I think, is involved at this point. With that explanation, more or less summarize what we discussed. We would try to. You want to repeat your question?
No, because you restarted again, that's why.
Sorry. What did I just say? Just to clarify, you, as the ZBA or Zoning Board Administration, and you do not deal with the discrepancies of the surveyors or the actual boundary lines?
They could, but I'd say that it's unlikely that if they have two competing surveys, this board, none of these people are surveyors. They're not familiar with the rules of surveying, and you've got two surveyors saying,
Right.
this and that.
We're not either, but,
So if Len Amblo and Mike Jarvis were to agree, I would hope that would resolve the issue, whether in your favor or in favor of the Hathaways, one way or another. If they don't agree, then, our recommendation to you
civil.
is to go to the civil division. You can file an appeal here if you want to. You can file, a complaint with the zoning administrator, and she will investigate, but her investigation is probably going to say, I don't know. You haven't presented enough proof for me to say that there's a violation, so she would issue a decision, and then the decision would say you got 15 days within which to take an appeal from her decision, and if you don't take an appeal from her decision, then that appeal is forever. You can't do anything thereafter. It's final. So the decision we're making this evening, because it's on the application, it's final vis-a-vis the application. but it's not final vis-a-vis compliance with the zoning regulations.
Everything just lingers until we do something about it.
Well, hopefully that Len Ambrose
Further.
will be doing something about it.
Well,
and
he-
short order, and once he does something about it short order, something should happen. I understand that the Hathaways are interested in selling this property, and they may have it under contract, and they won't be able to sell it. At least I wouldn't think they'd be able to sell it until this issue's been resolved. So I think that you're in the catbird seat, if you will.
Well, we have the preliminary from him just finishing up, but
You may want to
there's
share that with
nothing-
Mr. Hathaway, but right at the moment, if Len Amblo's not here to say what his findings are, I don't think it's going to make a difference from this board's viewpoint.
I think it makes a difference if he was here or not either.
Pardon me?
I don't think it'd make a difference if he was here or not either.
I don't think so.
No.
If
I didn't want to waste his time either. That's why he's not here. I did discuss that with him. So, I mean,
I don't
your
think-
job is your job. I understand that.
If Len Amblo's position is that he disagrees with Jarvis's survey, chances are very good that we would say the appeal's dismissed, not because Len Amblo's wrong or Mike Jarvis is right, or the opposites of those two statements, but would be,
They've worked together before. They know what it's about. They know people don't want to go to the, they want to get it solved. That's all. They've worked together. That's what they do.
No, we just know
And we want it too.
where
We just
the
want to get it done.
markers were before, and also Lenny was up there a couple years back, and he also knew where they were, and they were marked before.
well, he'll
with
be
him.
able to find them.
Yes, he's got all that information, and he was trying to hash that all out today just so I could come here
Well-
to find out it really didn't do me any good, but it's okay. It is what it is.
So,
Yeah,
okay?
sure.
You will get a written decision, and you will have the right to take an appeal from that decision within 30 days from the date that it's entered into the records here. That may not happen until next month's meeting. Okay?
He can't sell until the 30 days has transpired between the appeal of this. So you're talking like possibly January?
It's a good neighbor that he says he is all the time. I don't need the one we're here. I can't possibly just sit here and be stomped like this. I just can't. I don't know what he thinks he's trying to do, but this is wrong. Ever since I've got here for a year and a half, the state's on his side has been moved every time. Mike Jarvis put it in one day, the next day I went up with Mike Jarvis, and you can call him and ask him, the stake was moved in one day.
So, I appreciate what you're saying.
I
I'm
just
gonna
got,
try to
I had
answer-
enough.
Trying to answer the ZBA's question. Technically, you can sell to anybody for anything, it's just that the person who'd be buying it is going to be taking it subject to the possibility that there's a zoning violation. And
Okay.
I think that if it were not disclosed by the Hathaways that there is a zoning, that there's a possible zoning violation, a boundary line disagreement, is that if the buyer gets involved in a suit with the McSweeney's, saying, you don't own the property, you gotta move your house to make sure that it meets the setback requirements, then the buyer would then be joining the Hathaways into the lawsuit. So I think from a practical viewpoint, as opposed to a legal viewpoint, is that they need to get this resolved.
Yeah, okay.
But what does
Does
he want?
he-
We've been asking him for a year. What does he want? How far are we on his property? He said he was. He tried to get me to move, have my, can't move because he said I was on his property. I mean, I had enough with the perfect neighbor that he says he is. He isn't the perfect neighbor. Why would I want to sell it and get out?
Does-
You know, again, that's not something.
If he wants to take this as far as he wants to take it, I'm gonna take it with him. But I'm gonna pay it, it's gonna cost.
Okay,
Because I've had enough of it.
okay.
does he have a chance to come and talk up here too today, or?
Yeah, do not have him on the mic. Okay, so why don't you folks,
I
do you
mean-
have anything else you want to say before we let Mr. Hathaway speak?
Hey, I think you should hear what I got to say, because those
We
kids
can't,
don't
the
just,
tape's not picking you up, so just hang on a moment. Is there anything else you'd like to say, Mr. or Mrs. McSweeney?
I don't like accusations coming from my neighbor that I was welcoming him from the first day.
what did I do?
He's gonna
The second day
say,
you come on my property, I told you to get off.
Mr. Hathaway, you need
no,
to
he
stop.
did not. Boy, he lies, all he
My wife
lies.
and
Hathaway, you
family
need
right
to
there.
stop.
He lies so much.
Lie.
Mr. Hathaway, either you need to stop or you need to leave.
This doesn't,
We're very willing to talk about this with you and other people there, so that we can settle this.
My suggestion is that you let Mr. Hathaway's attorney
yeah.
participate in that decision.
Surely,
So, is there anything else that you'd like to say before Mr. Hathaway has his
No,
opportunity?
let him have what he wants to say,
Yeah,
because he's just,
Okay,
hopefully it'll be the truth.
I'm sorry. We don't like all this
But
either.
why does the pin always move? You're the only one that's complaining up there. You come in here and you
Okay,
fight
Mr. Hathaway,
for four
you can-
people.
you-
For 4 people. Oh, boy. It's cost me a lot of money for nothing. And I,
green light on?
oh, it's on.
Okay, so the floor is yours. I won't interrupt unless there's something I need to interrupt you on.
What do you want to start from the beginning?
I want you to say whatever you want to say.
Well, ever since I got there, from the beginning, we've had trouble with pins. Only on the right side. You don't sit here on the right side. They were always being moved, front to back and all that, all the time. Or they just come up missing. So, the town says, you gotta get it surveyed, you gotta get it, so I get it surveyed and all that. And while Mike's putting the pins in, like I was telling you up back, he put the pins in that night. I went back up in the morning to talk to him, and he asked me, he said, did you move the pin? I said, well, why would I move a pin that's costing me $6,000? Somebody had moved that pin. Somebody moved that pin. Okay, down front that he's talking about, the pin is moved again. But I don't know who moved the pin. It's been moved so many times, that front pin. I don't know how he knows where his property is, because he doesn't have a survey. He says he knows. Well, anybody could say, it cost me $6,000 to let you know where my property is. It hasn't cost him a nickel. Just like the lawyer. That cost me a lot of money just to have him here. For nothing. Because he says he doesn't. He's such a perfect neighbor. He told you 100 times. Well, the second time he came into my place, the first time he says, hey, you put that driveway in without a permit. That was on a Saturday. So Monday morning, I come down here and I talk to the girls and I said, I need a permit for the driveway. Yes, you do. So I went through the process with that. And then he comes up the following weekend and he says, I hate to see you put that house or camp where you're gonna put it because you're on my property. I said, how can I be on your property? And I told him, I said, just get out of here. I don't want you here. Just get out. You're trouble. Everything we do is wrong. We do this wrong. We do everything wrong. We bought too much fill in, he claims. What business is that of his? How much fill I put there? None. He's just been a pain in the ass. He really has. I don't know. I could go on and on all night.
I was afraid you would.
Well, I could,
I
but if
understand.
somebody was kicking you around like that for no reason, I don't even know him, I don't even like him, period. I think he's just trouble. Well,
Can I just say something
Yes, you can.
that,
really makes my heart hurt to hear three neighbors fighting like this. And I get it. I want you guys to try and work something out. Just, I know you're angry. I know you're angry. And I get it. I understand both sides. Just, if this was the last time you were alive, would you want to be remembered like this? And that's how I look at things. Like, if this were my last day on earth, is this how I want people to remember my interaction with other people? Let's just make it work, make it work amongst yourselves. And if I were you guys, I would put trail cams on all those points, because it sounds like somebody's messing with both of you. So I would put trail cams on all, we have them at our house because we had the same issue. We had the same issue with pins being moved. And so we put trail cams up. So
Instead of putting a iron rod or rebar in.
Right.
But you shouldn't have to do that.
No.
His easy way out right now is to tell me, say, hey, you're on your own, good luck. And I'll sell it and get out. That was our home that we dreamed of right there. I said, we're out in the middle of nowhere, nobody's gonna bug us, and in walks him. And he has been negativity from day one. So I finally told him, I said, just get off my property. I don't want you on my property. I would never be his friend. Never. I don't want a thing to do with it. Period. Because he's trouble. But all I want is the permission to sell my property to get away from my perfect neighbor.
Yeah, you do understand that we don't give or withhold permission to sell your property.
I know, but he just wound me up so much. The rest of the people I talk to him, they talk to me all the time and stuff. And what has really happened is he wanted to buy that property. He tried to buy it out from under me. This is how it started. He tried to buy it out from under me. But Mike Sweeney, and he claims they're not related, but they are, said to me, I said, well, why don't you sell it? How come you never sold it to the neighbors? I said, this is a small piece of property. He said, I don't like my neighbor. That's why I'm selling. Oh, you gotta get, I'll bet he'd be here in 5 minutes and verify what I just said.
Hey, you should talk to the board. You should talk to the board. Don't talk to one another. Okay? You do that outside of the board hearing if you want to talk to them.
I like to talk.
Okay? No, you don't talk to one another. You have opportunities to do that at the appropriate place, not here.
And he should have had his paperwork ready. I played by the rules all the way. I mean, I messed up. When I put that road in without a permit, I messed up. Then I should have had a culvert, but we didn't need a culvert there. And I should have had a permit. I didn't realize that permits for everything you possibly do now. And he's been right on it.
So is there anything else you'd like to say, Mr. Hathaway?
You want to?
I'd like to say anything that I don't even want to say. Is there
Anything else that's
like the board-
pertinent?
I would just like him to come forward and say, what's he want? How far am I on his property?
So our suggestion to you is had your attorney, Chad Bonanni, contact the McSweeney's and see if they can. And McSweeney's need to finish off their work with Len Amblo. And I think that they said he can get this done before Thanksgiving.
Well, look how long I went.
So that's my suggestion, is that they get their work done. And then you see if you can get Chad to meet with them, with or without the surveyors to get out. And the surveyors may say they agree, great, in which case I think Sweeney's will give you a letter saying they're in agreement with boundary lines as set forth on whatever survey that may be. Okay? You'll need to approach them.
Does the town take on any changes with the boundary lines? Like, he submitted his survey, then we have ours, who sets that in stone? Who,
Well, it's set in stone by the court.
okay? So it's
The only people that can make a final decision, right, wrong, court. They makes it, doesn't like environmental. They can make an environmental decision. You don't like the decision that's made there, you take an appeal to the Vermont Supreme Court. And that's the final step, unless you're able to find some sort of federal law or something like this. It's up to the U.S. Court. But, you know, that's not going to happen. Something the CBA not in position final answer.
okay, I'm saying also is, say that we do talk with Tim, his lawyer, and together we come up with something, and maybe it's whatever it is. How
File
is
the
that
land records.
finalized?
Have an agreement, put it in the land record. Hereby agree that the following line, record boundary line, of the Vermont.
So
Boundary
that's-
line agreement,
That's recorded, so,
solve it forever.
'cause, you
Unless
know,
somebody starts moving the pins.
oh, well, we just, you know, the hard thing was, okay, it's sale now, well, we don't want it to sell when things aren't clear, you know?
If it does, then it eventually comes back anyway, is what you were saying,
It's-
right?
It eventually comes back to
Right.
court at a point in time.
Yeah,
And it goes back onto the new people that bought it, which
Well,
is
They're
sad.
the ones that who's now own the building, which doesn't meet the setback requirements if Len Amblo's survey shows that there's a violation of the setbacks.
that's why, like, you hire a lawyer and the lawyer goes through, sweeps through all the titles, looks through anything. He has to sign something saying everything's clear. So,
Lawyer won't find that. When we do a
Okay.
Title search, we look at the permits that are on file. There may be something put into the Hathaway file, this decision that we're making, that
Right.
the attorney will see.
okay,
That he looks at, he or she looks at it.
okay,
You know, somebody looking at the appeal, looking at the Hathaway file today, is gonna see that there's an appeal. And they'll, within a reasonable period of time, receive a decision. And that'll go into the file, and that'll put the buyer on notice if there's a problem.
Okay.
Then, once the boundary line agreement is reached between the Hathaways and McSweeney's, knock on Formica. And in that event, that agreement put in file and client.
okay.
So does the realtor have a responsibility to make sure that's said correctly to the buyer?
The lawyer knows about it, doesn't buyer, probably already.
That's why we can't tell it. Whole thing. Clear of that.
Well, we'd like you to
Nothing to
be,
do with
So, good enough. We'll get a written decision
Thank you.
out. In hopefully short order.
okay, thank you,
Okay,
thank you,
you're welcome.
thank you, everyone.
There a second? Second, great, all in favor? Aye.